afternoon. Welcome to Back2Life Academy Live, where we are creating happier, healthier, and wealthier individuals and businesses. My name is Giovanna Garcia-Pons, and I am the co-founder and president of Back2Life Academy, and I specialize in health, mind, and transforming lives.
And I am Kristin Erickson, founder and CEO of Back2Life Academy, specializing everything from health to wealth, making you happier, healthier, and wealthier. Welcome, everyone, to today's podcast. We are super excited to have you.
Yes, and we get to remind you of our mission and why we are here. What we like to do at Back2Life Academy is bring you the stories and a behind the scenes look into those who are successful, who have made it to the top of their game, to remind you that you are not alone in this journey. And with the right support, you can get through anything. And our guest today has experienced success on every single level. So let me tell you a little bit about her before we bring her on. She is a decorated athlete, community mentor, social advocate for change, a sports broadcaster, and now senior director for player development for the Miami Heat. And by the way, her athletic accomplishments are just beyond impressive. She played for Notre Dame University and won the NCAA National Championship. She has not one, but 2 WNBA titles with Detroit, MVP, and even more impressive, an Olympic gold medalist. Wow, 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 and wow.
Incredible.
Yes, so please, with that, allow us to welcome Ruth Riley Hunter.
Good morning, ladies.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Ruth.
Hi, Ruth. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's lovely to be on with you.
Thank you for being with us. This is such an honor to have you with all of your accolades. You know, Giovanna and I are both athletes ourselves. So to have another female athlete who has accomplished the things that you have accomplished is just, oh my gosh, extraordinary. That's for sure.
Thank you. I've really been blessed throughout my career. And, I play a team sport. So the accolades that you mentioned, obviously, and a lot of hard work on my part, but just being part of incredible teams along the way was helpful.
Absolutely. So Ruth, we're going to just kind of dive right into it because I know that our viewers may or may not know of the behind the scenes road that, it took you to get to the level that you have achieved. So if you wouldn't mind sharing with us, I'm sure that there was a time in your career, whether it was on the court or off the court, where maybe something happened and you just felt like giving up. Maybe you just felt like, you know what, I'm done. I need to throw in the towel. This is it. But clearly you kept going. So my question to you is, what was that driving internal or external force that literally kept you going on a day when you thought, I'm done?
We all face challenges, definitely. And I think for me, I had a great role model growing up. We didn't have a lot of resources, but I watched my mom display incredible resiliency and grit every single day. She never made excuses for how difficult it was. Her faith kept her grounded. And I just saw her persevere throughout the years. And I think having appropriate expectations has been one of the things that's really helped me. Sure, there's disappointments and it's hard, but I think if you expect it to be easy when you face those moments of challenge, it's really exponentially more difficult to overcome. And so I think I grew up with realistic expectations of life and how difficult it could be, but also on the flip side, just so empowered to believe that I could persevere and show that resiliency and grit that I saw my mom every single day do. And so I think that really helped me in those tough times.
Absolutely. I heard 2 key things that resonate definitely with me, which is faith and mom. So I applaud you for that. So it seems as if almost your why was your mom and your faith. And you know, if you have that parent or parents that pour into you the way that they did, it's very clear that you could see the bigger picture. You know, it was a bigger picture of what you wanted to achieve because your mother probably instilled that in you.
I think the faith is definitely the foundation of my life, and I think that really keeps you grounded. It's a roller coaster as an athlete, as you ladies know. I mean, the ups and downs and how you handle that and how you really seek to be the best version of yourself. And that's not just in competition, but in life. And so I think for me, my faith has really been that foundational groundwork that has allowed me to appropriately grow along the way, but also to use my platform in a meaningful way and seek purpose beyond just performance. And I think that leads to just a better quality of life at large that I've been able to experience as well.
Amen. And
Yes.
I love the fact that you said that. I love the fact
I
that
was
you said that.
just going to say the same thing. You took the words right out of my mouth, and you found what worked for you as a foundation and you built from there. And to point out something else that stuck out to me is that we all sometimes expect it to be easy, but when we get there, it's a nice little shock where we think, wow, this is not as easy as I thought it normally is. And that's when most people either get discouraged, give up, or their belief system comes into place in making things up that really are not them. And for you, you said that your beliefs were something very important. So you always had that confidence and secureness to say, no, I know who I am and I know what I can do.
Yeah. And a lot of people talk about confidence, especially as athletes, right? Like we want to feel the most confident version of ourselves when we perform, and we associate confidence with good outcomes or success. When the reality is, if you're confident in how you overcome adversity, I mean, that's where you're really empowered because growth comes through failure. And so if you expect that those bumps are going to come along the way, and you're confident in how you're going to be able to persevere, I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I like to give, especially young female athletes, and just say, don't just think of confidence in, hitting that last shot. Think of building confidence and resiliency and grit and how you're going to overcome injuries or, difficult games or tough situations on your team. And those are the areas where I think you can really differentiate yourself as a person, as a player. And I think that's what's really helped me.
Absolutely. And you know what, Ruth, I'm sure you can relate to this. As you said, pain comes so we can grow. In the gym, I know all of us ladies, we are definitely in the gym, hitting the weights and getting our workouts in, and wow, getting that extra third rep that you don't really want to do. But at that same time, it is a muscle. It's anything that you have that you're building in life. It is a muscle. And the more you've been, hurt, or the more you damage that muscle, it gets stronger. So I love the fact that you said that because it ties right into athletics, life. It's just such a great analogy. Thank you for that.
Yes. And as well as our mind is a muscle, right? And it's really, really important. And that's part of the fundamentals and building blocks as we grow and make our way through this journey. And so along in this journey, we also encounter what we call coaches. And today, the word coach is really looked at and experienced as athletic. So yes, we are in athletics ourselves and have faced athletic coaches, but coaches are just not for athletics. They are people around us that can take on a coach type role. And as coaches ourselves, in our everyday lives or in our practice, in our jobs, we understand that a truly great coach is able to bring out the absolute best in people. And so with that, when you think of coaches that you have been surrounded with throughout your journey, whether through athletics or not, tell us, who was that coach in your life? You know, you had mentioned a little bit already about your mother, but also what other coaches came into your life at any level who was able to do that, to pull out the best in you? And exactly what did they do?
Well, I think of coaches, and I love that you're taking this beyond sport, because I think it's kind of like a board of directors. You have
Mm.
different individuals that have unique strengths. And so I've been really fortunate to have somebody in the business world. I've been fortunate to have an incredible mentor in my spiritual journey. I've been fortunate to have amazing coaches in athletics, and then just the surrounding around that, just people who I really respect the way they live their lives, and so I can go to just for life coaching advice. And so I do think that it's important to, whether it's a mentor type relationship or a friendship, you know, to find different people that fill those buckets that are important and of value to you. And when I think about attributes that all those people have, I think first and foremost, they're incredibly authentic. They know their strengths. They really take an invested interest in understanding me, because, as you know, we're not all the same. So it's not they're trying to give me some bucket advice. They understand my life, my experiences, my values, and then they are able to coach me according to that. And I think that inspires me to follow that advice, knowing that it's leading me down a path that is aligned with who I want to be, the best version of myself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I have a question for you, Ruth. So when you're on the court, you know, at a certain level, because obviously you reached a very high level with the WNBA, okay? At that point, when everybody's, for the most part, fairly equal physically and your skill set on the court, how important is it at that level of play? And my goodness, you won a gold medal as well, so that's an even greater step. How important is it of your mental health, or the mental fitness, I should say, on the court once you've reached those super high levels? You know, I'm sure you had some kind of a pre-game routine, these meditative things that most athletes do, or visualization. Can you kind of talk a little bit about your mental preparation when you're at such high levels of your sport?
I love where mental health is right now and where it's going. And I wish that I was an athlete now, taking advantage of,
Yeah.
you know, what these young athletes have before them, and that there's so many more resources now that are available. It's common in the dialogue when you talk about sport to understand that the mental health is so important to your ability to perform, whether that's to, you know, to be fully present to the moment, to bring out the best version of yourself, to have appropriate expectations. For me, it's also just that training my mind in preparation for the competition that I'm going into. And, you know, I grew up kind of in that old school type of environment where mental toughness by coaches was defined by how hard they could push you. And that's physical, that's not mental. But, you know, resiliency and grit, we hear them talk about, but those are actually skills that you can build. But you have to take different intentional steps when you're tackling those. And I love that this is a conversation now across sports and just in society where people are really feeling comfortable engaging in.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we all are aware now that our mind is truly more powerful than most people actually give it credit for. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And what I would add to that is really in what our mission is today that Kristin and I are really focused on. And that is the message to people that we're not here to do it alone. And that in having the right support, we can really get through anything. And being athletes, right? It's a little tough because we're used to performing at a certain level. And we go inward for that to push ourselves. And we are given the right mechanics and tools to say, I can get stronger, right, through actual physical action. But when it comes to how you're being and how you're feeling, sometimes it's a little difficult to then ask for help ask for support. So for us, that is so important. And the reason why we have amazing and such successful people come on to give light to that, to say, you did not do it alone, whether it's your family or people around you. So thank you for sharing in that as well. And what I want to do is kind of shift over now to what we always say is, when one journey begins, another one begins it as well. Or where there's an ending, there's a beginning. And your journey certainly continues, but now you're moving into new areas, right? It's a different kind of journey. And I want to talk a little bit about that and kind of what goes through your mind and what are your thoughts, giving someone also the opportunity to understand that, hey, we're constantly evolving and growing. And with that,
she froze, but I know what she's going to say. You're going to be a mommy soon. So how exciting is that for you? If you can talk about that. Is this your first child?
It is our first. We are.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We are so thrilled and so close, honestly, to him being here, and so excited about the opportunity to be parents. And we can't wait to meet him. We know we're having a little boy, and this is something that I always wanted to have a family, and obviously that first step is meeting the right person. So before I can get to being a mother, just being a wife and having the incredible support system of my husband, who empowers me in ways that I couldn't even have dreamed of. And so I just love the fact that now, after being married for almost 5 years, now we're able to start our family. And I have had a lot of titles over the years, but I think being a mom is one that I'm most excited about, and I can't wait. I know, as we talked about expectations, I don't expect it to be easy, but I do expect it to be amazing.
And probably expect to not sleep for a little bit.
Yes.
That's so exciting, Ruth. Oh, it's so exciting.
And thank you for that. And thank you, Kristin, of course, as I froze. But that's exactly the message. And that is, yet again, you reminded us that whatever we're entering in is not always going to be easy, but you're preparing for it. And you have the support system of your husband around you to know that you can do this, whether it's family, your husband, whoever it is in this instant. Again, letting us know that you are preparing for this and ready for this next challenge.
Yes, and absolutely. Now you can apply the things that you've learned, because like you mentioned, there's so many more resources that you had the privilege to have, and now to be able to instill that in your child. I have to ask the question, though. I'm hoping, you will probably put your child into athletics because it's a huge part of your life. And I always go back to the fact that I always can see the similarities of people that have been in athletics, whether it's at a high level or not, to establish those life skills. You've been given such an amazing toolbox of a skill set in athletics that you can now apply to life as well. So I'm sure you're excited to see where that's going to go with your son. Do you have a name for him?
We haven't settled on a final name yet, so we're still working through that. That's a lot of pressure. You don't think about that, but obviously you want him to like his name, but what does it mean, and how does that fit into who he is? So we're still very, very much working through that.
Oh, that is so exciting. So exciting. Gio, did you have anything to add? Otherwise, I'm going to jump into this really powerful question that we'd love to have you answer.
No, please ask away, because this is my most favorite, I think, impactful question that we ask. And from there, it can really go so many places. So go ahead, Kristin.
So Ruth, if today was the last day that you could give the world an amazing, impactful message to help them get to that next level like you have, if there's one message that you just want everybody to remember you by and your contribution to this world, what would that message be?
Well, I think you have to start by understanding that failure is never fatal or final. And
Mm,
so I think that, when you put that in perspective, that allows you to hopefully release some of the fear of failure, that expectation that you have to be perfect and anything beyond that is not fulfilling. I think that's something that a lot of people struggle to work through. But if you can shift that to think about what can you learn through this. And we just all went through 2 years of an incredibly difficult time, obviously navigating a pandemic. And, you know, I think when you zoom out a little bit and say, how can I be better for this? When I look back and I'm telling the story after the fact, what do I want that story to say? And then apply that in the moment. And oftentimes we just think, I just have to get through, I have to get to the finish line. But the reality is, we can't be intentional through those difficult times in growing ourselves, but also zooming out and understanding this isn't going to be forever. I'm going to get on the other side of this. And who do I want to be when I get there? And really just shift your focus towards that, I think is really helpful.
absolutely. And that resonating belief in one's self. If you believe you're going to get to the other side, and we all are, I'll tie it back into what you started the interview with. If you're here on this planet right now, after everything we've all been through, you have a purpose, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be here still. So I love the fact that this all really ties into exactly what Giovanna and I preach all day, every day, is it does take time and it takes failure. But if you know that higher purpose and you know that driving force and tie it in with the belief of self, clearly you're a wonderful example of you can accomplish anything you set your mind to, regardless of the circumstance.
I really believe that that purpose is so important, and it takes a while to figure that out. It's not like you just wake up and have complete clarity of what your purpose is, and it takes intentionality too of really, digging deep into understanding you have unique gifts and talents that you've been placed here for, and how can you bring those to light? How can you use your platform in a meaningful way? There's so much purpose, and it's not for yourself. It's really for making the world a better place, and everyone has a unique way of doing that. And so I think for me as an athlete, I've been very intentional about using my platform and understanding how that can be impactful, whether that's here in our local community or around the world. But I also think that started because I didn't want to be an athlete just with good intentions. And a lot of times we think our intentions are good enough, but intentions really are nothing without actions behind them. And so you have to create time in your schedule. You have to really prioritize those values and intentions that you have in order to bring them to life. And I think that's where purpose really flourishes.
That's so good. And as the word behind me, hustle. If you have a purpose on this planet, hustle, because everybody has, as you said, such a unique gift. I had a mentor one time, and I love to share this story with you and our entire audience. It would be really boring if it was just a hamburger and a bun. That's why we need lettuce, cheese, tomato, mayonnaise. It just makes it so much more special in the world when everybody pieces their gifts together to make this amazing sandwich, let's just say, or hamburger, versus just a boring plain burger. So
Yeah. And Ruth, I'm going to go off with something that you said that's really your message. And that is that failure is not fatal or final. And one of the things that I like to message out there for everyone is that it's a shift in perspective in the way that you're thinking, that you're not starting from scratch when you fail, you're starting from experience. And exactly with what you said, which is we all learn. And through learning, we get to get back up and try it again, but this time do it better over and over and over, which is the intentionality of showing up every day and doing and showing up and doing the work.
Yeah, I love that. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but especially around leadership. And John Maxwell's, I think a brilliant speaker on the topic. And he talks about, good and bad misses. And we're all going to make mistakes. But, a bad miss is something that we make an excuse about. And a bad miss can never lead to success. But a good miss, because as a basketball player, I'll just use an example. Great 3-point shooters shoot 40%. So they're going to miss more than they make. What do they do with the 60% of those shots? And how can you turn those into good misses that lead to growth, that ultimately lead to you being able to reach your potential?
That's wonderful. Thank you for that, Ruth.
So one last question here, and that is, today you are using your social platform, everything, trying to do the best you can, you journey, all of this. So how do you see like your next, let's talk about holidays coming up. What is Ruth doing in the next couple months?
That is a great question. So our son is due in a couple weeks. So we're going to be very busy. Obviously, our families are going to take turns coming down to visit. We love the holiday season and Thanksgiving leading into Christmas. I mean, there's no better time of year. And obviously, it's a little different when you're down here in South Florida and the weather is just gorgeous at this time of year. But I think just really enjoying these first few months with our new family. And then, as you talked about, figuring out how to get back to work and what that rhythm is going to be like as a working mom is something in the new year that I'm really going to be working through.
Exactly. Lots of gifts under the tree, right, Ruth?
Yes.
And one that you could do this to.
For sure.
That's wonderful. Wonderful.
Well, Ruth, thank you so much for your time today. Again, so many valuable things that you spoke about today in sharing your own journey. We are celebrating you. We are applauding you. We support you in every way possible to continue on this platform and what's driving you today. Back2Life Academy is so grateful to have you today. Please, we're going to follow you, your success, and can't wait to see when you publicly display what the name of your baby boy is going to be.
Yes.
Thank you. It's really been a pleasure, ladies. And thank you for using your platforms to inspire and encourage and empower your audience. And it's an honor to be on with you.
Thank you for those kind words, Ruth. Right back at you. Right back at you.
Well, great. Kristin, anything to close?
I just want to wish everybody a fantastic week, rest of the week, as we all close out this year. Go and do what you were meant to do. You said it, Ruth. You got to take action. It's about action of driving through that purpose. And that's what really is going to propel people to get to that next level, which is what we're here to try to help people do at Back2Life Academy as well. And sometimes it just takes that one podcast, that one book, that one coach, that one whatever you're listening to in your ear to say, this is it. So you have been such an inspiration for Back2Life Academy because of your accomplishments. And we are just forever grateful for having you. And thank you again for taking your time out of your day, because time is truly your greatest asset.
It is. So thank you again. This is Back2Life Academy Live, signing out with Ruth Riley Hunter. Thank you and have a wonderful day.